Tito lost the belt to Greg Valentine, September 24th, 1984, in London, Ontario, Canada. Now, this was the time, really, when the WWF was really getting into Canada quite a lot. Do you remember exactly when sort of, the full assault on Canada, the encroachment in Canada started with the WWF?
Oh, they always had Toronto. Toronto with Jack Tunney, and he was a crony of Vince Senior, and right to Junior. So the Toronto was always, but they'd work, and I guess they kind of had the free reign up there, maybe because it was Canada, maybe I don't know why, but they used NWA, I guess because Kiniski had a piece of that too, as well. So they'd work NWA talent into there as well. And Toronto was always. I don't not remember going up to Toronto when I was working there. So we always worked Toronto for Jack Tunney, and you had a hotel room with sandwiches and beer after the matches, and it's a pretty cool thing. And right there in the Holiday Inn down, right by the airport. And it was a good. So we always had Toronto. It was when he started moving into Winnipeg and some of those other, and then some of the other Montreal. And then, because that's probably why he took on the Rougeaus and Dino, because Dino was such a big card in Montreal. So I'm sure, they made, they made those backroom deals, with the Vince Senior and whoever was in charge of Montreal was Bravo or Rougeaus or, Gino Brito. I don't know who actually was, Montreal at the time, but. There, so it was later, slowly taking over Canada, but Toronto was always a WWF stronghold. Just because of the relationship with Tunney and Senior and Junior and the proximity to Buffalo and those upstate towns, because there was understanding that they wouldn't come across the border to that Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Utica. That line of towns in upstate New York there, which were great business. They were $12,000 to $30,000 buildings, $12,000 to $25,000 payoff nights in a 3 or 4 night span. You'd run Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Utica, and it was a 4 night run, and all of them were great towns. So, it was probably a give and take right there at that borderline there with Canada. There's a lot of guys from the Toronto, Nick DiCarlo and those kind of guys that had enhancement wrestlers, because there was a big area. Guys used to come out of Hamilton, right outside of Toronto. All Billy Red Lions. God, I can't think of all the great names, all the Boluses and the Toluses. All those guys that came out of that area, Angelo Mosca, eventually, and all those people that came out from that, they used to come down and do the Buffalo and Rochester. So it was a sharing type of business.
With the Tunney, since you mentioned him, and I'll go back to one other thing before I forget as well. So with Jack Tunney, is it like around 1985 he turns up as the quote unquote president of the WWF, yeah. And basically he was this very distinguished looking man who I don't think ever did a sentence complete without sort of flubbing at least one line. But he seemed to be there for years. I mean, did you ever actually meet him and talk to him? Did he ever come to the shows?
Oh, yeah. He was around all the time. Like I tell you, he did beer and sandwiches after the matches in Toronto and Maple Leaf Gardens. They'd have a hotel room. He was a pretty class guy. It was nothing over the top or, nothing, to ever think he was a P.T. Barnum of professional wrestling, and he got the talent from his dad. He got the Frank Tunney. What was it? Jack Tunney.
Yeah,
Jack Tunney was the father's name. Yeah.
No. Jack Tunney was the WWF president, I think.
Okay, well, but Frank Tunney was.
Yeah.
Frank Tunney was the original. Was his father? So he passed. He took it over from the old man, and they had a lot like. it's a pretty populated area up there on Ontario, Toronto, and those areas up there. So you had a lot of towns. They're just summer towns. Winter would be just crazy.